speaking. And we are delighted to have Gregorio this morning. Gregorio, how are you? If you just unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Charlie, for the great introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here. Mark, Richard, thank you very much for the invitation. Charlie, you did a great introduction. I think I don't need to add anything about myself or about the topic recognition. It's a great pleasure to discuss with you, all the audience today.
Okay, Gregorio, thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure meeting you over the last week or so. We've had a few great chats. Gregorio, I know also you're a judge in the European and the global awards, and at the minute you're judging on those global awards. You were up late last night doing that. I might just ask a question. What common trends are you seeing in the applicants for these awards? What are the sweet spots or the several items that you can tell us about them that make them stand out?
Thank you, Charlie. This is, I think, a really interesting question, and I would like to structure my answer with three main topics. The topic number one, it's for sure that companies writing this, entering or creating these videos are really focusing on the customer needs. They start from the customer needs. They don't start from a technology or from an idea of a C-level, but they start from the customer needs. That's the first point. The second point that I am also really seeing in all these entries and that commonality in all these different discussion, it's about the urgency. We need to change. COVID-19 speed up everything, but we need to change, and the speed of change is dramatically increasing. And therefore, companies are now really working in an agile way, meaning involving all the people, trying to create small additional pieces of values in order to go to the market, to offer to the customer new experiences, and then improving this product. And the last one that I want to mention that I really liked also yesterday evening, late in the night, watching all the videos, it's about proving the return on investment, meaning customer experience is not something fluffy to make customer happy or to speak about customer loyalty, but it's really a return on investment, creating additional acquisition, retention, improving the share of wallet, or reducing costs. And I think this was really impressive, seeing all these videos with such an high quality.
Gregorio, thank you so much for that. If it is so important, and obviously somebody like you is a big believer in the importance of recognition, why do you feel so many companies are not buying into this? Because statistically, that is the situation. Why do you think that is the case?
I think it's extremely difficult. We need to have a look and to discuss on the different situation of the companies. I think quite a lot of companies are focusing on too many topics. And we need to do this, we need to do that, and also on this topic urgency. The biggest companies need always to achieve the quarterly results. I need to prove to the shareholders that I create the revenues, I decrease the cost, and all these issues. And then there are increasing expectation, because as usual, I think most of us are also employees. The expectation increased dramatically. What is today the mile that I am performing, tomorrow it's the normal expectation. And therefore it's difficult to have this recognition. If we think about this recognition, in addition to what you said at the beginning, I think it's also important that companies take a break and reflect what did we do in the last month, in the last period, and recognize that they achieved something. Even if there are small achievements, it's important to celebrate success, because as you said, it's motivational. From my point of view, you said it's motivation for the people who receive this appreciation, and also for the observers. Additionally, it's also motivational for the people that are giving this recognition, because we see, oh, I have great employees, we are doing great stuff, let's continue in this direction. And I think this is extremely important. To close these questions, I had the chance to be on both sides, participating on these awards. I am a judge, but I was also a participant. And I think back about my experience as a participant. It was an experience in the experience. What I'm meaning is in the project, in the transformation that we presented into these awards, it was really a great experience to participate, to create the presentation, to create the story, to create the selling story, and then going back into the company and having also recognition from outside. Something outside of the company is saying what we are doing is correct. Outside of the company, we see that other companies are facing the same issues, are having the same issues, and are working in the same direction. And this is really extremely helpful. I want to close because, as you said at the beginning, to shorten our answer, but what I really want to mention, and this is, if the audience wants to take one point from what I am saying, please take this point with you. Participating into these awards, like the European one or the global one that we are discussing now, if you go back with good results, and you don't need to win, but you get good results, you get the recognition from the company, and you have an external recognition in the company saying that what you are doing is correct. And therefore, you can also discuss with the CEO, with the CFO, have a look, give us the budget because we are doing the right stuff. And this is, I think, also extremely important to continue this customer experience transformation.
Gregorio, thank you very much. And as always, you know, you always add value. You're a great character. We see your football pitch in the background. You told me not to mention the team you support, so I'll mention that you support AC Milan and let the cat out of the bag completely, as we should do. But thanks again, and I look forward to talking to you in the weeks ahead, Gregorio. And thanks for joining us from Zurich this morning. So from Switzerland right over to the west of Ireland, Margaret Cox is going to join us. Margaret is the CEO of the ICE Group in Galway in Ireland. They are a leading recruitment company who have a particular people-centric approach, which we're going to hear about in a few minutes time. So please do stand by for that. As an award-winning business and of high industry respect, we're delighted to have Margaret here this morning. So Margaret, if you're not unmuted, please unmute, and you're very welcome.
Thanks, Charlie. And I learned a new trick this morning. Can I get a thumbs up to make sure everybody can hear me? Like you said, it doesn't matter if you can see, it just matters that you can hear. Thank you. And I'm delighted to join Richard and Mark and Gregorio here this morning. Particularly delighted to be talking to a pan-European audience. I think that one of the things perhaps we're not as good at in Ireland is reaching out to Europe and talking to the people on the European stage. Certainly there's so much to be learned from that. My company, as Charlie has said, is ICE Group. We're a leading recruitment staffing agency. We provide training to the employed and the unemployed across a whole range of areas, and we provide outsourced business services. But I suppose one of the things that we've done in the last year edition really is to solidify our vision. And our vision is that we want to be a company which, through delivering world-class service, inspires others. And we want to do that in parallel with our ethos and our value, which is that we change lives. And I think that's what we intend to talk about a little bit longer, how we've changed lives and where that fits into this culture of recognition. Thanks,
Margaret. Yeah, and just on that point, obviously, and you know that I was involved with some of your team recently in a project in Ireland, and that came out very, very strong. That's what I was impressed with. You know, I was just, you know, aware in the background of the ICE Group, but that thing of changing lives, that was the vision, and it was the vision that everybody that works with ICE gets up for in the morning. Margaret, I'm interested in hearing from you about peer-to-peer recognition. You know, that recognition from one desk to another in the workplace. You know, that being, you know, it's good, bad, or indifferent in many areas. How do you believe the importance of that peer-to-peer recognition at that level is?
I think it's vitally important. And I don't know if many people here would have grown up as I did in Galway. And I remember being told by my mother, you know, when you get off the bus, you say thank you to the bus driver. And I think if people have that ethos, that you say thank you for what you get. So in ICE Group, what we try to do is to foster that concept of saying thank you or recognizing when somebody has done something for you, and they reciprocate by recognizing when you've done something for them. And I guess I think that I have seen in Ireland, you know, we weren't a very good country at accepting recognition. You know, we tell jokes, you know, nobody in Ireland knows how to take a compliment. And it's actually true. And when somebody comes and says, oh, I know your company, it's absolutely brilliant, we go, oh, no, we're fine. Sure, look, we've a lot to learn and we've a lot to do. Whereas, you know, you go to America and they say, oh, you've done a great job. And they go, yeah, we're doing amazing. We're fantastic. I think that that's part of the change that we need to see in Ireland. I think it's a part of the change that we are seeing as the younger generation comes up, because they have been used to recognition. You know, my mother never told me when I came home from school with my school report, well done, you got fabulous marks in subject 1, 2, and 3. My mother looked at my school report and my father, and they said, what happened? Where did you get this D from? You know, and that's what I grew up in. And as a result of that, you know, when my children come home from school, though my husband says, how did you lose those 15 marks? I say to him, that's amazing, well done. So I don't know if that answers your question, Charlie, but
absolutely,
you know,
yeah. No, I think it does. I think what you're saying is that recognition starts from the ground up. It's not about the government recognizing you, or you know, the guys at RSET recognizing you. If we create recognition in the workplace, nobody has an opt-out. Then recognition has to be part of the culture. Margaret, you have several initiatives within the ICE group, and you know, one of them is, and excuse the language here, guys, but one of them is to be bloody brilliant. And there is another whereby you're continuously encouraging people to, you know, or for customers, you're asking customers with their thank yous to make that public, so you can gather these thank yous and you celebrate that ceremoniously nearly in the workplace. Talk to us a bit more about that initiative and how it works.
So in 2016, we entered a journey to get accredited by ISO, the International Standards Organization. And we decided that we weren't going to go down the same, you know, the boring route. How do you recognize customer service? Oh, well, we have a complaints register. I think it was a little bit like you talked about there, Charlie. You know, it's not about catching people out, it's about catching people in. So we have tried over since 2016, and we've developed processes around it. We encourage our customers when they're happy to send us what we call thank yous. We count the thank yous. We report on them at our weekly stand-up management meetings. Anybody who gets a thank you, it's sent out to the entire company. At our quarterly communication meetings with all of our staff, we count the number of thank yous, we tell everybody about them, and we read out some of them. So we've put a process in place that in terms of recognition, it's actually counting something positive. It's in the words of our customers. And also, thank yous doesn't have to be just externally. The thank you could come internally. So our IT guy, you know, when he goes above and beyond on a Friday evening because the server's gone down at 5 o'clock and he knows maybe somebody's working tomorrow at Saturday, and he stayed till 8 o'clock. Well, you know, the first thing that he gets, not from me, but from the person he's helped, is a thank you. And it's copied to the whole organization. And that then brought us on the journey of the Be Bloody Brilliant. And it is a little bit bold in its language, but you know, we want to be bold because we want to be brilliant. And by being brilliant, or what we call our BBB awards, we are out there unashamedly saying we are brilliant. And that challenges us, each and every one of us, each and every day, in our work life, in our personal life, and in our organization, in terms of delivering superior world-class service. And that's what we're about, and we're proud of it.
Brilliant, brilliant, Margaret. And again, it's the simplicity of the thank you. Alex Ferguson once said that the two most important words in football are well done. It wasn't extreme wages, it wasn't, you know, core strength, it wasn't supreme talent. The words well done. So again, the simplicity of this. Sometimes, you know, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And you spoke about thank you in both of your questions. Margaret, finally, and more importantly, because this was a big story in Ireland, you and the ICE group are heralded as the champions of the 4-day week. So the 4-day week, and we spoke about this in recent days, the 4-day week was a recognition as well, was it not, of your staff? You know, it wasn't about looking at the customer. You know, Branson said 37 years ago, the customers are not first, your team, your staff are first, and people thought he was crazy. But talk us through the 4-day week in the context of, was that a recognition of your staff?
The 4-day week, and we'd actually like to call it the 3-day weekend. So if you work in ICE group, you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you do not work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or if you work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you don't work on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I challenge you to close your eyes for 3 seconds and imagine what that would be like every single week. And I can tell you from my point of view as a leader and from our staff and our team, it is absolutely amazing. Why do we bring it in? We decided, again, as we were moving, we had sort of a plan that brought us to 2016, and then we did a 4-year plan from 2016 to 2020. And we got to 2020, nobody could believe we were coming up to 2020. And we were wondering, well, what are we going to do? And this world-class service vision that we had, we understood as an organization, we changed the lives of the people that we work with, the vacancies that we fill, the people we find jobs for, the people we train, the companies that we have put a brilliant people in terms of placement. But we wanted to do more. And as Charlie said, it is about the team. So we decided, well, we want to change the lives of our employees. And the concept is very simple. Our commitment to our team is 100% of your work, 100% of your pay for 80% of your time. So there's no pay reduction. There is a reduction in the day. So we only work for 4 days. The days have become a little bit longer. And the commitment that we ask, and that has been delivered, is 100% productivity. But on top of the 100% productivity that we asked for, we have had a 27% increase in productivity. We have had an increase in our sales, and we've had an increase in our profitability. We have also seen a reduction in 1-day absenteeism. We have seen a total reduction in unplanned attrition, and we have also contributed to a 20% climate change, a reduction in emissions, and improved and worked towards a better climate and a better world for us all. And you can tell that I'm completely mad from the west of Ireland, but I am completely passionate about the 4-day week, 3-day weekend. It's amazing. And if I could do anything and be the prophet, you know, if I could be the Jesus Christ of the 4-day week, I would be that, because everybody deserves to share in this with us as well, if we could. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret, and thanks. You know, the final piece there on the 4-day week, put it all together, and the statistics are, you know, stats don't lie, and to get, you know, those type of returns on the creation of a 4-day week inspires us all. So thank you for that, and thanks for showing that example to the rest of our dear country, but also to the rest of Europe on this platform today. And please take our compliment, Margaret. Don't be putting it back in that Irish way to us now. Asher will be all right. So we'll practice that. Thank you. See, there you go. You've improved hugely in that regard now since your mother scolded you about your exam. So very well done. Thanks a million, and thanks Gregorio and Margaret. And please do stay with us, because I have no doubt there will be questions. And now, Mark, you and Richard are going to come into play here, because I cannot see everybody's face and hands on the screen. But guys, you know, it's an intimate setting. You know, we're from all over Europe. Thankfully, with the power of, you know, Zoom, we can join each other in a conversation like this. So let's feel as if we're in an Irish pub or a similar setting, and we're just asking questions of each other. So don't formalize it too much, and feel free to come in and ask questions there. So Mark or Richard, if you see anybody with their hand up, let me know. I don't see anything in chat at the minute in terms of questions.
No problem. No, just to see if there's anyone that has any stories or questions themselves, just to see if there's anything that you're doing internally in your organization for recognizing your teams and the impact that's had, or just any questions at all. Feel free to contribute, or I'm going to put some people that I know very well on the spot. So
okay, so either volunteer or be volunteered is the message there. And don't forget as well, just while we wait for somebody to come in with a question there, it's important to recognize, if we're here to recognize today, to recognize the great work that the guys do, Mark and Richard and Jenny and Laura and William. You know, behind the scenes, they're organizing a recognition of companies, and there's opportunities for companies here today to either nominate other companies by this time next week or to nominate your own company. It's free to nominate in terms of 3 entries. And what you're doing in that regard is you're showing respect to the rest of your workforce that you believe that it's good enough to. And all a nomination is an application. You know, Gregorio said it, it's not the winning. Sometimes it's the climb. It's the effort of going through the process, because it's a fantastic process. You know, I'm honored to be a judge in both the European and the World Awards. And the reason I do it, selfishly, I learn much, much more than I contribute in terms of a judge. So it's a two-way payoff there as well. Okay, any questions there, just in case I can't see the other screen, even if you want to unmute and, as we say in Ireland, plow in there with the question.
Yeah. Gregorio has put his, no, Nick Ligo Baker. Nick, do you want to say? Because Gregorio has put his hand up, but I'll leave it to you.
Nick.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I've got a question for Margaret in a minute, but for me, one of the companies I've been involved with had a policy of asking senior leadership to pick an award. Anybody in the company could recognise anyone for support and good work, and you put a card in a box. And yeah, occasionally that didn't really get shared enough. Yeah, it wasn't really having the desire. So what we were asked to do is, in the leadership, was to think of an award which would mean something for us. And then when we felt that somebody had gone above and beyond, we would recognise them with one of those awards. And for me, something really simple. It was a thermal flask. So yeah, in the winter, it is comforting. It contains a hot drink, which keeps you going, keeps you warm. And in the summer, you can put a cold drink in it, which keeps you refreshed. And it was just about creating a story around the meaning of that gift, in order to say, when people receive it, we're recognising them for providing that support and that comfort to other colleagues. Mm-hmm. And by asking people to do that type of thing, we were starting to then create a culture of going above and beyond, not just for customers, but also for colleagues. And that started to create an atmosphere, which I would imagine in Margaret's situation, where you've got almost an absolute reliance on people doing the right thing for each other, not worrying about whether people have got hidden agendas, but actually to try and support the greater good of the business. And that worked really well for me. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Nick. And again, simplicity, doing simple things, making sure that it's authentic, it's genuine, it works within that company. Anybody else there? Mark?
Charlie, I might just come
Margaret?
in on that. And Nick, you're absolutely right. One of the things that we did, I mean, our Be Bloody Brilliant Awards, they're basically a printout, the person's picture, a description of what it's for. It's put in a frame and it's put on the Be Bloody Brilliant wall. And that wall is visible to everybody as they pass along the corridor to go to the canteen. And I think that you can be really good if you do the recognition, but if you don't share the recognition, you're wasting that opportunity to get feedback.
So there must be ceremony attached to it in some way or other. In front of the peer group. There's we work with a group of shopping centres in the UK, and one of them in Glasgow, and I'll name it because they're just brilliant. The Ford Shopping Centre in Glasgow, every Friday, they have an employee of the week, which sounds a bit dated, but it's how they do it. It's phenomenal. It's in front of the peer group, and they'll find out if the staff member, and it could be a janitorial staff member, it could be a security staff member, it could be, the marketing person, but they'll do it in front of the peer group. So there must be ceremony. Margaret talks about it, there must be a ceremony to it. That's why awards at international level work like the guys are running. It must be ceremonious. So, that's of importance there as well. And remember,
Brendan's put his hand up here.
Brendan, please come on, Brendan.
Thanks, guys. It's been a great session already, and just hearing all the examples, I'm so envious of the 4-day or the 3-day weekend. Turning it that way, that's I can imagine the increase in productivity. That's great. Just as you were talking, a couple of thoughts that came to my mind. I was with a friend at the weekend, and he runs a big chiropractic clinic. and they did the 5 languages of love. I don't know if you're familiar with that, with the staff. I guess it's of a size that they could, and recognize that some people are really big in gifts, and some people really like those words of recognition, and they were able to tailor a recognition program that really worked for everybody individually. Some people wanted time with the boss, and so they maybe took them out for a lazy lunch and treated them that way. Some people wanted a big celebration, and they baked them a cake and got them in the room and kind of gave them the guard of honor as they kind of walked in and recognized them that way and did it. And I thought that was really nice to customize the recognition in a way that really made the most of people. I work for Eon currently, and we also do the opposite, or not the opposite, the other side of the coin. We call them the equally irreverent fuck-up days, where we recognize that the efforts of people, where they tried to do something great for all the right reasons and it just didn't work. And but nevertheless, a lot of hard work and a lot of good intention, recognizing the things that we learned from that, the hard work that went into that, and not be ashamed to fail, because we did a good thing. We tried what was right. And if we've learned something from it, then that equally deserves recognizing, and the hard work that went into that too. So I thought that was a good example of another balance, another perspective on broadening the use of recognition.
Brilliant, Brendan, and thanks for sharing that as well. And the beauty of social media, that we don't have to use beepers for words as well, which is really, really good. I thought they were bad in Galway with words like bloody, but that's okay. Any other contributions there? Feel free to come on.
Claire had her hand up, or Gregorio.
Claire, come on, Claire.
Gregorio, do you want to go for?
Claire,
ladies
and then
first.
I'll go to Gregorio.
Ladies first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, no, I just wanted to pick up, Charlie, on what you said about mystery shopping right at the beginning of the conversation. And obviously, having done mystery shopping for quite a few years, it was one of my bed bug, really, to kind of, at the beginning of it, that used to be 10 years ago, how people used to see mystery shopping as picking people up and bashing them on the head. But, you know, it was a real refreshing to go into companies and actually get them to use mystery shopping as a real celebrations and picking up what they're doing right before they actually identifying the gaps, and using that as within a program of recognition and reward, using that as a celebrations of what they're doing, putting them, like Margaret was saying, into, you know, the space where the employees are here and they can all see, and they can all see what they've done and how they're doing it. And, you know, that was a real big important part of it when I was putting a program together, to make sure that that celebration of success was first before you kind of start picking the identifying the gaps. So it's important to use those tools to measure and use it in a very positive way.
Yeah, and it's a great capture, isn't it? I mean, you know, to be able to catch people in, or capture an excellence in action, because it informs your training as well. You know, it's a training needs analysis tool as well as anything else. So, you know, mystery shopping report used in the right hands, like somebody like yourself, can do tremendous work indeed. Mark, anybody else there that you can see?
Gregorio, yes.
Gregorio,
sorry, I didn't realize the
Gregorio,
hands up expire, so I just thought you'd so go ahead, Gregorio.
I know, Charlie, you don't want that I speak, but I want to say something. No problem. I'm still a bit scared of what Margaret said about the marks from school, because I was not so good, perhaps. And my mother was asking similar questions, or even worse, asking, what did your best friend? And my best friend was always the best one in the class. And therefore, it was always an unfair comparison. But then Margaret, you went to the 3 days weekend, and I can support that. I am a father of a 4-year-old child, and I really enjoy being on the Fridays with him. It means I work only 80%, and I can fully confirm that I am more productive, because between Monday and Thursday, I need to deliver everything what is required. But it's a great setup, and it really improves also work-life balance. This is quite clear. Going back to the recognition, what I really like and what was already mentioned, we are not speaking about bonuses, salary increase or stuff like that, but it's really a recognition saying thank you to the teams or giving something to the people that should get this recognition. I would like to share 2 examples. These are really simple examples that every company can use and can leverage. One is we had in our company, for example, the Net Promoter Score Hero. Each month we were looking who was the best agent or contact center representative with his NPS levels, and then instead of getting money, he got also time. Again, back to what Margaret said, it's really important for people that they have also free time. And the best in class in this month got 5 hours for free. He was then allowed to have an afternoon free, and instead of working, going to the lake, or in Switzerland, going to skiing. And it's not so expensive for a company, but it had really a great effect to the community, to the group, to the employees. This was one example that I want to share. And the second one, I shorten it extremely. In my team, what we did, it's really simple. I bought some visit cards, empty, and I wrote thank you. And then I wrote thank you to, I don't know, thank you, Charlie, for inviting me. And then I gave that to the team. And the team members were extremely happy of getting one handwritten card from me with thank you. And then they started hanging that on the wall, as you said, exactly on the corridor where people were walking through. And then people were able to see, oh, I get the thank you card. And then we bought a more professional type of cards where it was already written, excellent, great job, well done, thank you, with different colors. And then we wrote that. It's an effort of, let's say, 3, 5, 10 euros. And in time, it's roughly 10 seconds to write, thank you, Mark, for inviting me, or thank you, Charlie, for the great introduction, and ending that over. I think these are really simple things that everybody can do. It doesn't cost, you don't need C-level approval to do that. You can start doing that now or tomorrow.
Gregorio, thank you very much. Yes, and you're feeding into what Claire spoke about, what Margaret speaking about, the simplicity. Start with the simple things. And my father, you're talking about your mother in your case, my father, who's still alive at 91, and I think he was quoting some American general. He would always say to me, if you want to change the world, start with dressing your own bed in the morning. There was 2 messages there, of course, but again, the simplicity of it all. Just quoting a few statistics. In 2019, 76% of people who left a full-time permanent position in the United States cited lack of recognition as the main reason. So we talk about recognition as if it was one of these soft skills that we need to rename what soft skills are, let's be honest, because they're of huge importance. They're employability skills, they're human skills, but they're words like Margaret said, thank you, or Claire speaking about catching people in, and other items. KPMG have also, up until COVID, done the worldwide employee engagement assessments and surveys with over 30,000 people, which means it's going to be very accurate. And the millennials, Gen Zs and Gen Xs have recognition and sense of achievement in the workplace as number 1 and 2 as to why they work with the company. Pay is 7th. My generation, pay was number 1. So this is where we're moving with the importance of recognizing and recognition in the workplace. And the amazing thing is, and Gregorio and I spoke about this, a couple of days ago, why are companies not doing more about it? Why are companies not investing in something that is priceless and costless, both? Disney have removed the term reward and recognition from that term that we used for years. They've removed the term reward and they've left it just with recognition, because it's not in the reward, it's in the recognition. So this is how powerful this is. Any other contributions, guys? Please feel free to come in and make any comments.
Joe had a
Joe Coyle. Yeah. Come on in, Joe.
Imagine why I give a league. I just wanted to comment on the 4-day week, or more importantly, the 3-day weekend. I don't come from a large organization. In fact, there are only two of us. Well, there were two of us before COVID, and for the last 18 months, there's been one of us, and that's me. So things have been very busy, multiple roles. So you can imagine how ridiculous it was when, inspired by Margaret's organization and you know, information that I've got from Margaret over the last number of months, how ridiculous it was when on the 1st of January I decided to move to a 4-day week, considering I didn't have time to do everything I needed to do in 5 days. It's been a really, really beneficial change. I don't work Fridays, but the outcome is that I've worked more efficiently, more effectively, with more focus for the first 4 days. And I'm actually doing more in 4 days in 2021 than I was doing in 5 days in 2020. And we don't have time here to get into what I do on the other 3 days, but believe me, they're awesome. And it's been, at 61 years of age, it's been the most significant change I've made in my working life in the last 40 years. And I'm putting it out there from the point of view that it's not just large organizations, but small business owners have an opportunity to look at that as well. And I know that Margaret is a great example, her and her organization. And I know that from organization's point of view, that she's very interested in promoting this idea. And I know we're going to hear a lot more about it. So I'm an advocate for that. So that's my contribution.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much, Joe. And listen, very well made. A few points made there that it's not for large organizations. A lot of us will be, you know, either self-employed or small groups of people. And I think that's of huge importance. And, you know, I'm also aware of what you do with those other 3 days, and it's fascinating watching it. And again, you know, following on the inspiration from Margaret. Any other questions, contributions? I'm sure there are. It's very exciting.
Nick's got
Nick, come on, Nick. Yeah.
Sorry, Megan. Yeah, I was just commenting on your piece about the KPMG study, and yeah, there used to be a phrase that I was always told, and that's about having people that either live to work or work to live. And it depicted people who their life was their work, and that's all they did. And then you had other people who literally were 9 to 5, and that created tension in the workplace. But I think as time goes on, that's becoming much more blurred, because people recognize that their work life is as much as part of their social life and their family as it is at home. So I think things have changed quite a lot more recently, and I think that will become far more evident now that so many people have been working from home and they've been forced to mix those two worlds. And I think you're right, the younger generation have whilst there might be a sense of entitlement, there also has to be an understanding and appreciation of the fact that they've got their values in a way that isn't something that was pushed on them by the structure and the constructs of the way an organization used to be. So actually they're pushing the change, which is a really positive thing, I think.
Brilliant, yeah, and it sort of fits into as well, and you know, it's not a separate subject. I think it fits into this notion, and we spoke about it on the last webinar, of human skills, you know, digital skills, technology. We're very, very good in Europe at that. I know in Ireland, we're one of the best in getting learning and education into digital and technological skills for very obvious reasons. But is there a danger that those human skills are getting left behind in digital disruption? And, you know, the skills that we're all talking about here this morning, the simple things like the thank you, the recognition, and, you know, others that young people will require, like resilience. So that all feeds into this thing of recognition. If we can be better recognizing each other, showing appreciation, showing kindness, there is that great saying that, you know, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. And sometimes it's as simple as that. And if we can get it right at that level, well, recognition becomes something that is embedded in the culture of all of our organizations and companies. Okay, anybody else there? I'm sure there will be people that even if you're just thinking out loud rather than asking a question. Mark, are you seeing anybody there? You were going to pick.
I suppose I just throw in like just a bit about what we do. You know, like as a company that let's say our business is in recognition, we have to practice what we preach. So what we did, I think it's probably about 4 or 5 months ago, we invented this happy wall, which is it's all digital, of course, because we're not in the office together. But the idea is all the great comments, not too far from what you were saying, Margaret, all the great comments that are coming in from our customers. We've collated those in like a digital shareable format, and you know that's building as time goes on. So it's just, if you're having even a bad day, just have a look at that, and just to kind of helps reinforce that what you're doing is making a difference. So just thought I'd throw in what we're doing internally.
And Mark, if I can say as well, you know, since I think we sat down for the first time maybe about 7 years ago up in Belfast, you know, talking about recognition and the work you were doing at that stage in the Middle East. You were working out of Dubai. You had the Middle East awards on at that time. They were hugely successful. But I always felt that you were doing it from a heart rather than from a monetary or financial point of view. I think you really enjoyed this thing of getting companies that were performing really well and highlighting them. It's a bit like, you know, our two fantastic speakers this morning, Gregorio and Margaret, you know, just getting the ethos of what they do and allowing it to inspire the rest of us, you know, to talk about things like, you know, a 4-day week. I mentioned this to my wife last week about the 4-day week. She says, I wish you would do a 6-day week. And, you know, there was a very valid point in that as well, because I should be on health grounds be looking at that, but you know, just looking into, okay, how can I be more efficient? How can I work smarter? Not this notion of working harder, that you have to work a 60-hour week, because I think that's getting very, very dated. So anybody else want to make a contribution?
Gabriella.
Hello. I must say that is very interesting, this discussion. I want to give you an example from the company I work for. The CEO has like a weekly message to the employees, to the entire company, with 2 topics, let's say like that. One, to give the direction and to explain the strategy and give information about that. And second, to recognize the good work, some people, some teams, projects, and so on. So this is an example of recognition. And I want to ask the speakers about recognizing or give thank you to the customers, because in a company we have multiple customer persona. How do you see the recognition personalized on customer persona?
Very good, Gabriella. So Gregorio, I might ask you that question. How do you recognize the customer? The very, very valid point. Very, very good question.
I think this is a really great question, and also linking that to what Mark said. First of all, it's important to spread in the company the customer feedbacks too. It means positive and negative ones. As Mark said, with this wall, what we had also in the company I'm working for, we had a credit card, and then with the comment from the customer. And these were positive comments. What I also saw at other companies, they were also sharing negative comments because they wanted to spread some messages within the company. We need to change something. And normally customer experience team, it's 2-3 people in a company of 7,000 people. And therefore you need to be a bit strategic and then try to put the messages where you can. And as you said, Gabriella, in the voice of the customer view, the first thing that everybody's doing, customers that are complaining or giving a bad NPS score, we need to perform a care call. Let's call them and ask them how we can fix the experience in order to get a good score. But on the same side, why not working on the promoters, meaning the customers that are really happy with the interaction or with the company, and try to transform them not only in fan, but in super fans that are then really spreading the word of mouth, saying them thank you for using our products, thank you for this interaction, thank you for this good experience together with us. And then if you can do that, then you can also spread the word of mouth, because I am a fan of these awards, and I'm telling to all my friends, do you want to join? Send your entry. You have still 6 days and so on. And therefore, we should also leverage the positive feedback of the customer that we get in the company, but also back into the market, perhaps also through social media, if you can anonymize the comment, and then saying thank you to the customer that provided you the feedback. But because at the end, these customers spend 10 seconds, 2 minutes to provide you feedback. And then you need to recognize that the customer used his or her time to do something.
Gregorio, thank you very much. And I'll get a 1 minute answer on that from Margaret in a second as well. But just to let you know, we're going to start winding down now because we're going to get out within the hour. Mark, I'm going to leave some time for you to come in and just maybe give us a reminder of the award dates there. But Gabriella, you know, a really, really good question there. And Margaret, how would you recognize your customers? Because I think Gabriella brings up a very valid point here. You know, the recognizing of a customer for bringing business to us that makes it possible for us to employ people and sustainable business is as important as recognizing the workforce. How would you answer that question, or maybe give us an example of how you do that within the ICE group?
I think one simple thing that we do in our email template, and every email that goes out, and particularly in replies, we finish our emails with thank you and then our names. So that's one of the rules. You know, every email, it has a templated signature and it's thank you and whatever. I think in addition to that, one of the things that, and you know, it's a fabulous challenge, Gabriella, because you know, you've made me stop and think. And in 2018, we won a Supplier of the Year award with one of our clients. And on every proposal that I do, I put in, oh, winner of Supplier of the Year for X, Y, and Z company. But I'm here thinking now, gosh, why am I doing Suppliers of the Year for my customers, or Customer of the Year, or Customer of the Month? Because you're absolutely right. We do need to be better at recognizing our clients. So I might have thought we were doing a great job with our thank yous in our emails and, you know, talking to people as often as we could. But I'm now challenged to put something else in place. And Charlie, could I just borrow 2 seconds? The one thought that it did strike me, and I'm listening to the people, and I'm looking at the faces on the screen. And I think the other challenge that you need to look at and to set for yourself is, how do you thank yourself? How do you recognize yourself? It's all very well to say thank you to everybody in the office and everybody in your organization that's doing a great job, but you've got to stop at some point in time and recognize yourself and give yourself the clap on the back. So aside from the 3-day weekend, 4-day week, the other message I'd love to deliver the thought with you is, you know, be kinder to yourself, because as a leader, you know, they tell us on the aeroplane, put your own mask on first, because it's only when you do that you can help others. So I just wanted to remind people of that.
Fantastic,
Thanks,
Margaret. And listen, what a fantastic message to go out with the last question. Gabriella, question of the day goes to you. That's your recognition. Look at the smile on her face, folks. Look at, freeze that smile, come on. Does recognition work or does it not? What a brilliant question, because that question brought out 3 different aspects. It brought out the importance of recognition in the workplace, which we came on to talk about, but you brought up about the recognition of the customer. And then Margaret finishes off, don't forget to recognize ourselves, guys. You know, that is the message there. Fantastic. Guys, it's been an honor. It's been an absolute honor. And what the 3-day week, which you will all be doing in a few years' time, Donegal is the place to have a European conference on customer experience. Mark knows that, he's down the road. So that's booked, and I have it in the diary for 2025.
That's it.
No getting out. We want you from all over Europe.
The metropolis of
absolutely,
Donegal.
West Donegal, a safe place for learning and mistakes and innovation. So Mark, listen, it's been a delight to host this. It's been a great discussion. I'll hand it back to yourselves, and if there are companies, we encourage you to listen to Mark and for the last few minutes. Thank you.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Charlie and Gregorio, Margaret. Excellent insights. This is about everybody that's on the call. It's not about us, really. So just want to say thank you, and we hope to see you at the awards. As Charlie mentioned, the entry deadline is next week on Thursday. So yeah, hope to see you at one of these networking events shortly, and have a great day. And if you have a 3-day weekend, lucky you, and speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.